Hi guys, welcome back to Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host Jamie Carter. I'm just basically going to do a review of Tuesday night's games just gone. There was games in the Champions League, the Championship, League One and League Two. So I'm going to go straight into it. Obviously, going into the Champions League last night, Liverpool, as I said on the previous episode, um, had a bit of an indifferent start to the season. They had to essentially win tonight to make it easy for themselves against last night against Ajax. They'd lost 4-1 in the first round of fixtures in their group to Napoli, and so they were looking obviously to get back from that, and they did, but it was a bit ropey. They had a lot of chances, Liverpool, to be fair. Mohamed Salah got them off the mark on the 17th minute, but then Kudus scored, equalised for Ajax on the 10 minutes later, and I suppose Liverpool fans were probably, maybe some of them were probably expecting the worst, that they weren't going to get the result they needed, but thankfully, literally a minute from the end of the game, Joel Matip came up with a header from a corner, which gave Liverpool the win that they needed. So Liverpool won that one 2-1 against Ajax. And then going into Group G, Group B even, in Group B, Bayer Leverkusen were up against Atletico Madrid, and Bayer Leverkusen won 2-0 thanks to goals from Andrich and Diaby. Then Porto in the same group were playing at home to Club Brugge. Club Brugge had won their first game, and they won this second one tonight. Pulled off a bit of a shock, really, at Porto. I was quite surprised. This was probably the shock of the night, really. Club Brugge smashed Porto 4-0 at Porto. So Club Brugge are top of that league in Group B. Then it goes Leverkusen, Atletico Madrid, and Porto after two games. There's still another four games to play, obviously. Going into Group C, the biggest game of the night, Bayern Munich against Barcelona. Lewandowski returning to play against his old team. He had a few chances, to be fair, Lewandowski, but Neuer was on great form, pulled off a couple of good saves, one or two straightforward ones from Lewandowski, but Hernandez and Sane got the goals that mattered in the second half for Bayern for them to win 2-0, and that keeps them top of their group in Group C. In the other game in Group C, Victoria Plitzen lost 2-0 against Inter Milan. Goals from Dzeko and Dumfries scored to give Inter Milan a 2-0 win. So in that group, it's Bayern Munich at the top, Barcelona, Inter Milan, and then Plitzen at the bottom. And then going into Group D, Marseille lost 1-0 at home to Frankfurt, and Sporting pulled off a shock right at the end of the game on the 90th minute and the 93rd minute. Porto scored goals from Paulinho and Arthur Gomez, helped them to beat Spurs surprisingly 2-0. So I didn't really predict that. I said Spurs would win that one 2-1, but there we go. That was the shock of the night. So the West Ham fans around near me will be very happy about that scoreline, I'm sure. But anyway, we'll go on to the Championship, and there was a lot going on in the Championship last night. There was 6 games that were played. Blackburn was up against Watford. Watford had a bit of an indifferent start to the season. They were in the playoff areas going into this game. But Blackburn won 2-0. Goals from Ryan Hedges, a guy that came from a winger from Aberdeen. He's been very successful this season. I think he's got 3 goals already for Blackburn Rovers this year. And then Dominic Hyam scored from a corner. Beautiful header. Yeah, great. Oh, no, it wasn't a header. It was a scorpion. Sorry, scorpion. Weird scorpion kick from a corner cross. So it was quite crazy, really. But a great goal. If you can find that on YouTube, it's worth looking at. And then obviously going into the next game, it was a Yorkshire team against a Lancashire team. Huddersfield Town at home to Wigan. Wigan took the lead on the 25th minute. A goal from Keane, but Lees equalised. Tom Lees equalised with his first goal of the season for Huddersfield. But Lang scored 8 minutes from the end on the 82nd minute to give Wigan a 2-1 lead, and that continues Wigan's impressive start to the season. Wigan are just outside the playoffs now, in lying in 8th position because of that result. So next game, Hull was playing against Stoke City. Hull had a decent start. Have had quite a good start. Well, did have a good start to the season, but they've tailed off the last few games. They ended up losing 2-0, 3-0 to Stoke City. 2 goals from Lee Baker, and one from Wilmot made the Stoke win that one 3-0. So good result for Stoke as they get back on track after a bit of a poor start to the season themselves. They're picking up a few good results the last couple of games. Biggest shock probably of the night in the Championship was Cardiff City. They were away at Middlesbrough. They were 3-0 up within 64 minutes. Within 45 minutes even. Goals by Adauda, Harris, and Perry NG put them 3-0 up in the game. In the second half, you can bet they got a rollicking off Wilder at half time, the Middlesbrough manager. Second half, Cardiff managed to hold on to it until a 2 minute period on the 76th minute when Duncan Watmore and Rodrigo Muniz scored 2 goals within, I believe it was 79 seconds of each other, so it's crazy. So Middlesbrough started the fight back. They got it back to 3-2 to Cardiff, but Cardiff managed to hang on for the remaining 13 minutes plus injury time, and they got a great result there, Cardiff. So that's helped Cardiff to turn things around after a really poor start as well. Preston then was playing against Burnley on the live game on Sky Sports. Burnley took a lead from Howard Bellis, a guy on loan from the Manchester City Youth Academy, and that made it 1-0 to Burnley. But then Preston equalised through a goal through Story on the 15th minute. Burnley had tons of chances to score a lot more goals, but they just didn't take the chances, and it finished 1-1 in the end in that game. And then the final game last night of the Championship, Sheffield United left it really late until Kadra scored on the 90th minute away at Swansea. And Sheffield United, like I say, won 1-0. So looking at the top of the Championship table, Sheffield United are still top after getting that dramatic last-minute goal. Norwich played tonight against Bristol City. They line second, and in the playoff areas in the Championship at the moment, Blackburn up to third after that 2-0 win against Watford. Reading are playing tonight against Sunderland. Burnley are in there as well in fifth place after their 1-1 draw with away at Preston, and Bristol City play away at Norwich tonight. So essentially, if Bristol City was to win tonight, Bristol City would go into second place away at Norwich. Highly unlikely, they're not the favourites, but I predicted a 2-2 draw, but I actually was thinking today more that Bristol City might do something. So I'm going to go for Bristol City to win that game 3-2 tonight. Actually, I'm going to just predict the 6 games tonight for the Championship. I did it before on the last episode, but I'm just going to re-predict. So I'll go for 3-2 Bristol City. That's a shocking one to say, but I'm going to go for Bristol City to win at Norwich. Luton to beat Coventry 2-0. QPR to win away at Millwall 2-1. And then Reading to beat Sunderland 2-1. Rotherham to beat Blackpool 3-1. And West Bromwich Albion to beat Birmingham City 2-1. So that's my predictions for tonight's games in the Championship. As I say, that's the top of the table for the Championship, the top 6 anyway. In the relegation zone in the Championship, currently it's Birmingham, Huddersfield Town and Coventry, but Coventry haven't played. They've played about 3 games less than everybody else because of their dodgy pitch that's only just got sorted out recently. Anyway, I'm going to run into the games from last night in League 1 and League 2. Barnsley drew 1-1 with Port Vale. Burton 0, Portsmouth 2. Charlton drew 1-1 at home to Forest Green. Cheltenham 2, Cambridge United 1. Ipswich Town 2, Bristol Rovers 0. Lincoln City 2, Derby 0. Get in Lincoln. MK Dons 0. Bolton Wanderers 2. Morecambe 0. Sheffield Wednesday 3. A surprise and shock last night was Peterborough losing 1-0 at home to Fleetwood Town. Plymouth got a 1-0 win against Oxford United. Shrewsbury came from 2-0 down at home to Exeter to win 3-2. And Wycombe beat Accrington Stanley 1-0. So, looking at the table in League One after all those results last night, you've got Ipswich Town at the top because of them winning 2-0 against Bristol Rovers. Portsmouth won 2-0 away at Burton Albion, so that keeps them in second. In the playoff places in League One, you've got Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday, Bolton, and Cambridge United. Hats off to Cambridge United, a surprise package. You didn't really expect them to be up there this season. So they're doing really well. In the relegation zone currently in League One, it's Accrington Stanley, MK Dons, Morecambe, and Burton Albion. So slow start for MK Dons. MK Dons were up near the promotion areas last year, and they've had a bit of a poor start, to be honest. But do we care? Not really. Should they exist? Definitely not. But there we go. That's that's a gripe that I've got from a previous episode. I don't think MK Dons should exist and definitely not have the title Dons anyway. It was criminal what they did to to Wimbledon years ago. So anyway, we're going to go on to League Two. In League Two, Leyton Orient were top at the start of the evening, and that's where they remained. They won 1-0 away at Rochdale. Northampton then won 2-0 away at Wimbledon. Barrow won 2-0 at home to Doncaster Rovers. Crawley beat Stockport 3-2. Grimsby drew 1-0 with Gillingham. Harrogate lost 1-0 at home to Salford City. Hartlepool drew 1-0 with Crewe Alexandra. And Mansfield drew 0-0 with Carlisle. As I say, Leyton Orient won 1-0 away at Rochdale. Stevenage continue their great start to the season in the League Two. They won 1-0 against Newport. And Swindon Town played a really good match and won 3-2 at home to Sutton United. Tranmere lost 2-1 at home to Bradford City. And Walsall and Colchester drew in the final game of League Two that night. So going into League Two, looking at the League Two Championship after Tuesday night's games. At the top, like I said earlier, it's still Leyton Orient. In second, you got Stevenage. Third, you got Barrow. Stevenage and Barrow, as I've said before in a previous episode, I predicted them two to go down this season. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. They've turned the form book upside down at the moment, those two teams. Going into the playoffs, you've got Salford City, Northampton Town, Bradford and Doncaster Rovers. They're all in the playoff areas. And the bottom two that would get relegated if the season stopped now would be Hartlepool United and Rochdale. So Rochdale having a bit of a mare after coming down from League One. Hartlepool down there as well. I'm sure Jeff Stelling, Sky Sports guy, won't be too happy about that. But that's where we're at the moment. I was looking at doing going into the conference and looking at what happened in the conference last night. But what I'll do is I'll leave that for another episode at the weekend. I'll include something. I want to do something for all the football fans out there, not just the Premier League fans. But yeah, that's all the review from last night. As I say, there were some notable games, mainly Fleetwood away at getting a 1-0 win at Peterborough, and obviously Cardiff City having that great night last night against Middlesbrough as well, winning 3-2. So good nights all around. But anyway, keep liking and subscribing to Football Heaven 24/7. I'm your host, Jamie Carter. Let all your friends and family know. Get behind us. We're going to get bigger and better. And I cover all the main sport. I'm even going to go into non-league at some point as well and start doing stuff on that as well. So, all right, have a great week and stay tuned for the next episode. This has been Football Heaven 24/7. Bye for now.